Where in the folk is not and should not be used as a news source. Any names, places, or likenesses, and any information discussed is purely speculative. Guest opinions are their own, and guest opinions are their own, and do not reflect those of anyone else. Where in the folk is not responsible for stories that are told, accuracy of any stories that are told. This show is well, sometimes graphic. This show is content that should not be viewed by anyone. Actually, it should not be viewed by anyone. Actually.
What did you do?
Welcome to another episode of Where in the Folk. How are you doing today, Morgana?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you, Cecil?
I'm doing pretty good. So, as you can see, Tully's not with us today. I don't know where he's at. I think he went, I don't know, fishing or something.
Granny.
I went to see Granny.
Yeah, went to see Granny. Yeah, I just don't think he likes us anymore.
It feels that way most of the times anymore. Whenever he talks to me, he talks down to me. So everybody give him shit when he comes back. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, give him hell when he gets back.
Yeah. So this week we're going to go on the same path we've went down many times before.
I did read this week that the Boeing people are still on the space station.
Really?
Yes, and they have found more problems with it, but that the two astronauts that they were interviewing said they felt confident that they would get home with no problems. Of course, the other person that they talked to said they'd probably hitch a ride back the next time there was a pickup or a drop-off.
So my whole thing about that is that, like, would it be safer to, hey, Linda, would it be safer for them to just, like, kind of spacewalk back to Earth or to ride back on a Boeing ship? Which one would be safer, do you think?
I would spacewalk.
I'd spacewalk at this point too.
Give you a rope and hook onto the back of that Russian team when they go back home. You know, I think that could be doable. You know, just make sure you have a full tank of oxygen and let them drag your ass on back. Just take your knife so you can cut loose before they make landfall, because you're going to want to do that on your own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Tully had included this week's funny. You want to do this week's funny? All right.
It said, keeping in mind now that this was back in 1978, and that you know, it was a request to get this, you know, that it didn't age out and everything, but that even if birds are real, there you go, Cecil. Imagine what kind of spy tech they have today. You know, your phones, your watches, your TVs, refrigerators, but they could very well be birds out there that are in fact drones. Director of Research and Development through Chief of Operations Division of ORB, subject NPIC support in Bird Camera Program 1. A technical collection team has been formed to demonstrate the operational utility of an avian asset. As a part of this effort, a new bird camera has been designed which weighs less than the old one and which uses a 16 millimeter film with motion compensation instead of the gum size. Testing of this camera will continue through June of this year, at which time the final demonstration is scheduled. So, okay, I'm going to have to apologize a little bit to Cecil.
Yep. I feel completely justified. Right, here's the report, by the way, if anybody wants to go ahead and pause on this future time and read through that. So, I have been saying for a long time that birds are used as a spy technique. And, you know, essentially they're not real because they're used as spies. And I've been met with a lot of criticism.
I'm going to call it healthy skepticism.
There's a lot of receipts for it.
But I still maintain that some birds are real. I've eaten them. So we're going to go with, we're 50-50 on this one.
50-50. I don't know. Maybe 90-10. Maybe.
I don't know. But see, if the shit ever hits the fan and we all have to hang out in your cave, I'm going to go out dove hunting, and I'm going to make you some dove stew, and you're going to love it. No vegetables in it.
I don't believe But,
Just meat, gravy, and a few potatoes.
so that's this week's funny. I don't see anything funny about something factual though. So
Yeah.
well, some things that's factual are funny. That was a bad
I think
comparison.
that the reason he thought that was funny is the fact that we were all fixing to eat a little crow where you're concerned. You notice he puts that one on there the week he's not here.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's okay. I'll take one for the team. So my sincere apology, Cecil, for doubting you.
Thank you. I'll take it.
Okay.
But
Awesome.
but this one right here is pretty interesting. Let me get this one pulled up. I didn't even pull the picture for this. This is cool. The prehistoric underground megastructure found in Russia.
Yeah.
Russia. So apparently the Karahora shaft is purported I can't speak. Purported prehistoric underground megastructure found in the remote rugged region of the North Caucasus and the Kabardino-Balkaria Republic of Russia of the Russian Federation. Have you seen this one yet?
I was reading it just a little while ago, and that's cool as hell.
That is really neat.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, what is, according to various sources, this shaft is believed to be an ancient, massive underground structure, possibly built by unknown civilization. He said we got his work pic in the thumbnail. I haven't even seen it, Nick. Nick totally sets all that up anymore, but it's described as having chambered spaces with unique stone formations and glass-like materials. Megalithic stones held together by unknown substance or techniques. A possible cup that changes color depending on the light. I've got one of those.
Mm-hmm.
I bought that at Walmart for $1.99. Evidence of advanced engineering and construction techniques, and this shaft existence and nature remain officially unconfirmed at the moment. And the exploration is reportedly now restricted. So they've finally found something that they're like, well, we can't let anybody come down here and look at this.
Right.
But there are videos and things on YouTube and with footage of people that are drawing parallels to Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think they really found? Right here's a picture of somebody down in the cave as well, or this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the top bondsman there.
Yeah.
Can't do that with a spackle.
And the fact that it's inside a cave, you know, you kind of have to wonder, did they use what was there and just carve into it, or did they actually bring stuff in and just build inside of the cave system? Because structurally, you wouldn't want to hurt the safeness of it, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm looking at. But
my question about it is, could it be related to Tartaria? Because there's a lot of beliefs that mountain ranges may have been ancient structures that melted.
Well, I will tell you this, and you brought it up. I'm glad you did, because I was fixing to mention it. The Tartarian, to me, even before we started getting in-depth talking about it, I've always associated that word and that culture to Russia.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when y'all first started talking about the Tartarians, I'm like, oh, yeah, those are the Russian steppe people, So I would think definitely that they had a hand in this.
Yeah, the Tartarians, that's the whole region, is Russia, China, all that whole area. But they also, in my personal belief, expanded the world.
Mm-hmm.
But this could be like one of these instances where, like, if the mountains being ancient structures and melting is something I don't really get behind. That's kind of like the really fringes of the Tartarian theory.
Right.
But when I see things like this, like, I'm like, maybe, like, because they might not have built this in a cave. It may have just been one big formation and then it melted, and this is just the rooms left over.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like for a long time at the office where I work at, actually the old office, because we moved about 4 years ago, there was an old sycamore tree that literally grew around a power pole, so there's absolutely no reason to think that couldn't happen in ancient civilization that was so old that just over time, the landscape around it just started growing around it.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely possible.
Uh-huh.
It's really interesting. I love that whole theory. I would love to do a really long Tartarian episode, but I've looked at the logistics of going from like trying to find the beginning
Mm-hmm.
coming to modern day, and it's just
We don't have that kind of time.
no.
Not for one episode. You know,
I worked on it for a year, and I've got like 60 pages wrote. Like,
well, and that's exactly right, because, like I said, I know some people go with, the theory that it's been a couple hundred years, but then you find stuff like this that's thousands of years old.
yeah.
And I don't think that they would have just, started 200 years ago and accomplished everything that they supposedly accomplished. I think that was something that would be built up over, eons.
Yeah. And there's so many fringe, like Tartarian theory goes so far. Like, it ranges from the melted mountain ranges, to like the Titanic was ancient technology, like, and they were getting rid of ancient technology. Like, it's so wild.
Mm-hmm.
But we could talk about Tartaria all day. I used to go on Out of the Blank with Rob,
Mm-hmm.
and the last time I went on there, he specifically asked me not to talk about Tartaria.
See, I got that way about CERN for about a minute there, but like I said, I guess about the time we started hanging out was when you had started doing, you were researching for the World Fair stuff.
Yeah.
And everything. So, yeah. And that, I remember how much information y'all had on that. And that was like over the course of several episodes.
Yeah.
And everything. But like I said, very interesting stuff. I'm going to do some research on this because I'd like to see if I can find some pictures that people have taken while inside.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll probably follow up on it because it's pretty interesting. They're comparing it to like the shafts and everything in the pyramids and stuff, it seems like.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
That is.
All right. What you got next on the agenda?
Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I remember somebody asking me last year, I think it may have been Hadley, if I wanted to go to Tennessee to the haunted house for $20,000. Like, hell yeah. When people ask me if I want to go to a haunted house, I'm thinking it's a house that has ghostly activity. It would never cross my mind that you were talking about a Halloween attraction, because I get migraines, and strobing lights are not something I'm ever going to voluntarily go into. And then you and Tully started talking about, oh no, you don't want to do this. They will torture you. And I'm like, oh wait, this is an attraction. Well, evidently, the owner of the attraction has been charged with attempted murder and rape. So the attraction that he has, and they've had recently a Hulu documentary on it. Yeah. But he was allegedly arrested for the rape and attempted doing away with his girlfriend.
You already said it. This is cool.
I know. I'm trying so hard to get better. It's a normal word. So anyway, Russ Allen McCamey, the owner of the McCamey Manor, was initially arrested on a domestic assault charge after he allegedly strangled his girlfriend on July the 17th. She nearly lost consciousness, and the incident took place at his home in Summertown. McCamey was detained on a $1,000 bond in order not to contact her anymore. That's going to do it right there. Yeah. So the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office then learned of another incident that happened the day they actually booked him. So I'm assuming they let him out on his $1,000 bond and told him don't go near her, and he went right over there, and he
do it again.
He allegedly raped her and strangled her to the point where she nearly lost consciousness again. He was also charged with attempted second-degree murder and rape, and his bond was increased to $100,000. And according to the Lawrence County Jail, he posted bond and was released. So he's out walking around again. Yeah. And McCamey Manor, it was in 2023 that Hulu had the documentary called Monster Inside, America's Most Extreme Haunted House. Mm-hmm. and guests that would attend this attraction had to sign a waiver before undergoing, they called them fear-inducing situations, but I heard incidences of them pulling people's teeth out, physically beating the hell out of them. I mean, I would not survive. I would end up dead or in prison for murder because I'm going to react,
I mean, what they did was truly horrific. Like they would tie your hands behind your back and shove your face in water, like dirty water. I heard that they would go even as far as like trying to pull fingernails off and stuff. Like
I had heard that. I heard they waterboarded a few people. But evidently he has filed a lawsuit against Hulu and a participant seeking $8.4 million in damages. So, I guess he is alleging that none of that kind of stuff ever happened. It was just fun and games. But but there have been lots of viral videos that the manner that's, wait, I'm sorry, I had a moment. Okay, but anyway, he's saying that these videos and stuff aren't real, but nobody's ever made it through this house. I mean, nobody, and for $20,000, you would think somebody would be able to hang out. But like I said, from what I understand, just the way that they did people was atrocious. But right now he's actually working at his local Walmart. Sweet. And I guess that he's not getting a whole lot of business at the haunted house.
So this right here that Nick put up, anything not to win the prize, they wanted to know your fears before you came.
Yeah.
So I have a way to do it. Like, I'm terribly horrified of plush dolls.
I'm terrified of dogs, especially those little yippy ones. Now, you're right, Nick. You cannot win if it's rigged. And that's definitely, and like I said, and he's fighting that because, of course, it's a huge moneymaker for him. I mean, even if only one or two people try to do this a year, it's advertised, it's televised. People are throwing money at him to, get the inside scoop and everything. So, of course he doesn't want anybody to, gnomes. That's a good one. Do you know how many people I know that are horrified, though, of clowns?
I don't know. I've recently gotten over my gnome fear. And that's because of the man in the comics that just put gnome. We work together, and this fool has put gnomes up in the workplace.
I used to, for years, I collected those ceramic masks, the ones you see at like Mardi Gras and stuff like that in Carnival. Mm-hmm. And a friend had given me a set of 4 that were clowns. And it wasn't the clowns per se, but we had a friend that came over one day and he goes, I can't stay in here. And we're like, what? He goes, I can't stay in here. And we're like, okay, why? He goes, those faces on the wall. And I'm like, what about them? They're staring at me. They don't have eyes, Ren. And he goes, I know, but they're staring at me. He was horrified of them. We had to get up and go into another room of the house in order for him to be able to stay in the house. So, I don't know of anything I'm that scared of. I used to be that scared of spiders, but I've made myself I still hate them. But now they don't run me completely out of a room like they used to. Now I can step on one if I need to.
So full disclosure, I've stepped away from doing a lot of the research for these episodes. Mm-hmm. Tully does, almost pretty much all the research. I'm about bring a story every once in a while anymore. Right. I think he has set us up for failure tonight. This one is horrific. I don't even know if I want to read this one. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's news. This is crazy. So he even puts this is fucking crazy before there's a chilling video footage. I'm not gonna read this one. This one hurts my heart.
Oh, okay. I just saw the one you're talking about. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, I'm not gonna read that one. I'll let him do that when he comes back.
That'll work. There you go. Why don't you do the pocket-sized drones?
Pocket-sized drones. Pocket size. I can't even find it. Pocket.
Scroll down from the crew trying.
Yeah. So the National Guard is testing pocket-sized drones that could soon be in the hands of every soldier. I feel like we might have covered this the other day, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll cover it again just in case anybody didn't hear it.
Okay.
So soldiers with the New York National Guard are currently testing these pocket-sized drones. The Army hopes that one day it'll be commonplace across all the forces. The New York National Guard has become the first one to train with the Black Hornet 3 drone, a mini unmanned. Does that really have to be specified? Unmanned aircraft? It's a pocket-sized drone.
Yeah, a mini.
It can fly for about 24 minutes and requires minimum equipment to operate, according to the report from Task and Purpose. These tiny drones, which have the ability which already deployed with units such as the Army's legendary 82nd Airborne Division, are small and lightweight enough that a single soldier can carry the drone controller and batteries needed to operate the system as part of their standard combat load. Once in the air, the device will transmit a live video and HD still images of the surrounding area. They're kind of behind the times because bounty hunters are using these now.
Mhm.
Like, they cannot legally enter your premises unless they have your permission.
Right.
But they can send these little drones just zip straight past your head into your house and look for people.
Yeah.
I've actually seen a video of that. That's kind of wild.
Yeah.
But the Army hopes that the tiny devices will soon be in the hands of all 7,000 of its squad. So how do you think that would impact future warfare? Like, I don't know. I mean, all it is like a video, right? Like, I guess
Right.
I guess I can see what's happening.
Well, and I can definitely see the pluses and the negatives on that, because whatever they do for the military, eventually they're going to find a way to use it on the populace.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea to send in a little mini drone to take pictures and to do recon, so a soldier is not being put at risk to do that. But like you say, or like Nick just said, what if they start making insects that, they have a nanotech mosquito like prototype that they're trying to use in Florida to eliminate mosquitoes.
Well, I have something to add to that. Scott Baker, who is a member of the Weird Realities Network, used to work for the CIA. We all know that.
Yes.
And he used to go to these conventions, and he actually said that they had a little insect drone thing back in, like, I don't know, the early 2000s, maybe late 90s. So, I mean, that's already a thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like I said, they're just being more open about it now.
Yeah.
So, which means they're covering up something bigger.
Yeah.
So,
if they tell us about it, they've had it for 30 years and it's much nicer than what we have.
oh yeah. Absolutely. Because, I mean, Scott hasn't even been in the CIA yet. He retired several years ago.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
Yeah, Scott's not in the CIA anymore.
And he was just a desk jockey too. Amazing how much interference is in his podcast when he starts talking about certain things. Don't think they're not listening, people.
But anytime I've ever been on a podcast with Scott, my stuff goes crazy. Like every single time. I'm like, what's happening right now?
And there have been, he and I have done a couple that it was just the two of us, and he still has problems. But like I said, it's only at certain times, and it's just like, okay, this is not just coincidental. Once or twice, okay, maybe. And the thing about it is, he now lives with his sister and brother-in-law. That's not where he's always been. He's got the same problem no matter where the hell he is. So somebody's listening. Somebody is listening. But I do see where it could be beneficial to soldiers. So,
Well, yeah, I mean, soldiers, like in combat zones for sure, because they can send them out and scout the area, to see what's happening.
absolutely. All right, there is and there's a name for this. And guys, I'm sorry, I cannot remember the name. We were actually talking about this at work today. 24-year-old Zhang Tang is a Chinese influencer. Hold on 2 seconds so I can kill a dog.
All right. But what do you all think about that in the comments? Like, I mean, what's your personal opinion? I know Nick said that they could use it for taking someone out, not to dinner, I don't believe, but go ahead and drop a comment, Let's do it NPR style.
That's right. There you go. Okay, and hey, I did find the name of it as I read down in here. It's called Mukbang. Yeah. Okay. So she's 24 years old and died during a live stream of a 10-hour food binge on chocolate cake, chicken, and seafood. She literally ripped her stomach open. This isn't a conspiracy. It's just bizarre what people will do for internet fame and money. Evidently, this is her thing. This is what she is an influencer for. And said that she had been on a 10-hour food binge on cake, chicken fingers, and seafood with thousands of followers watching. And they are pretty sure that the stomach tore, and she had consumed 22 pounds of food in the 10 hours before she collapsed. And they said that the stomach had become severely deformed. It was filled with undigested food, and said that it was just one of those things. But said that, the girl was morbidly obese, and that even her parents had been talking to her, trying to, tell her the money just wasn't worth it. But evidently she was making pretty good money at this from what we heard earlier on the news and everything. And because one of my coworkers is like, how much money could somebody make doing that? Who would watch that? I'm like, well, who the hell pays money to watch feet? I mean, there is somebody out there, or she wouldn't have had that many followers.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's a market for almost anything. But they're also warning that influencers in the West could be next, because now there are creators in this country that are doing the same thing, who have literally, in the last couple of years, this particular niche has made millions of dollars.
Yeah, I mean, mukbang is one of those things where I think I could be wrong, but I think it's that thing where they like to listen to people eat. And Mandy has actually played that for me, and I about threw up. Like, I know I eat loud and stuff, but I don't sit there and go in people's friggin' ear. Like, I don't like that.
If you and I are on the phone and I reach over to take a bite of something, I hit my mute button, because that sound drives me insane. I cannot stand, and there's actually supposed to be a condition for people who can't deal with that noise. But I can't. And because that was I can remember being a small child, when I was learning to eat, my mom, eat with your mouth closed, eat with your mouth closed, I mean, so it's instilled in me. But yeah, so like I said, I mean, I can't imagine if I eat more than a little too much, I'm miserable. I mean, I feel like crap. So I can't imagine sitting for 10 hours and just eating.
I mean, I could see it. I mean, I could think of worse ways to go than binging on chocolate cake, chicken, and some shrimp. But
yeah, but I want to hang out for a little longer.
Yeah.
There are people that are so pissed off because I'm still here. So, my goal in life is to make them miserable. Yeah. So, what you got next?
This is so crazy. That's so nuts to me, though. Yeah. But let's see what he's got on here. We never did hit this, and this is a long one. Okay. This is an old one. This came out probably 6 weeks ago. We just haven't got to it yet. But John Benet Ramsey's father, if anybody remembers who John Benet Ramsey was, John Benet Ramsey was a 6-year-old child who was murdered. Well, they were murdered. We said it, so I mean,
Already,
um, it was a big thing in 1996.
yeah.
And it's still a mystery to this day because they still haven't figured out who did it. It's a weird one. Look into it if you haven't read it. But John Benet Ramsey's father, John Ramsey, continues to keep pressure on the police nearly 28 years later, even though he says authorities are eager for him to stop asking questions. That's kind of weird to me because they still investigate cold cases, older than this.
Yeah.
But she was found beaten and strangled. If anybody's ever looked into it with I don't really want to go into the details, but she was found beaten and strangled in the basement of the family's home in Boulder, Colorado, the day after Christmas in 1996. Boulder authorities initially pointed fingers at John and his late wife, Patsy, as suspects based on probable cause, but they were ultimately excluded. 28 years later, 28 years. Oh my God. John Benet's murder. After her murder, John continues to push for the Boulder police to allow independent forensic genealogy company to conduct DNA testing on existing items in his daughter's case, including a pair of her undergarments that tested positive for traces of an unknown male's DNA in 1997. So what is this basically saying is they're not going to let him do that? Why wouldn't they?
That's too. And another thing too is he's saying that he wants them to hand everything over to the FBI. I thought the FBI was involved in it.
You would think as big as it was.
Yeah.
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 I don't know.
And I don't know what the I don't know who did it, but I just think there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't make sense. Like the fact that they found her in the home.
Yeah. There's somebody that goes by the name of Woodward submitted public records request to determine which evidentiary items had been tested for DNA.
Mm-hmm.
And she learned that several significant items were never analyzed. And this includes the Garrett, what is it called?
Garrett.
Yeah, Garrett found around her.
Yeah.
They never tested the ransom note. There was a suitcase found in the basements that the authorities believed the killer used to escape out the window. They never tested that. They never tested the flashlight. They never tested the family kitchen counter. Let's see, an unknown rope was found in her brother Burke's Ramsey rooms that day. They never tested that. They didn't test any of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that DNA was still kind of new at the time. Like it came around like as full force in the 80s maybe. So it's still kind of new, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it was relatively new because I think they did some testing, but I don't think they could do testing enough to, like the DNA that they found, on her was not her parents or anything, but I don't think they could get down into it deeply at that point. Like I said, it was hard to even get like a paternity test in the late 80s, early 90s. So it was really still a newer technology.
But it wasn't the 20s, where they'd walk in a blood-soaked room and be like, we need to get all this blood out here so we can research.
Right, exactly.
Like they knew it was a thing and they knew it was going to progress.
Yeah.
That's so crazy to me.
Yep. I'm right there with you.
But long story short, the Boulder Police Department is just kind of fighting against him whenever he's trying to get all this taken care of and figure it out. I mean, it really has to weigh heavy on him because, there's so much craziness about that because the ransom note, which always blew my mind, was the exact same amount as his bonus.
Uh-huh.
Like they didn't even take taxes out, So obviously it wouldn't have been him or her because they knew what kind of money he was going to get.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be somebody that knew what the bonus was, the gross amount and like things like that.
Right.
That's so wild.
Yeah. Like I said, I knew it had been a long time ago. I didn't realize just how long it had been. I remember when all that happened because there were several big cases there in like a 5 or 6 year period because that happened. And then that Susan Smith who drowned her two boys and said that, oh, it was a carjacker. And, so yeah, people, I don't know what the hell's wrong with people. Yeah, I do. People are crazy. So, I think we could use some culling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just, set me up a place off planet for just me and the people I like. And
I watched that movie Don't Look Up the other day, and at the end of it, they end up on a different planet.
Uh-huh.
Have you watched that?
I have not. I started it a couple of times, and I know I'm going to have to sit down and actually watch it. So
I see the ending. Spoiler alert. I see the ending of that movie being what's going to happen to me, because they end up sending a lot of people off into space to colonize a different planet.
Mhm.
And it's like 22,000 years later, they land on a planet that's hospitable,
Uh-huh.
and everybody gets off the ship all naked and happy. It's a beautiful world. Then this weird ass creature comes up and eats one of them. I'm like, yeah, that was exactly what would happen.
Yeah, that's it. I finally watched Interstellar, by the way.
Awesome, right?
Yes, it was very good. It was very good. I will rewatch it. See where y'all messed up? Y'all should have just said, hey, McConaughey's in it.
Yeah.
Just for future reference, I would have watched it on principle.
I wish whenever the drone was flying across the cornfields and he was in a hurry to get, he would have went, all right. Just took off after it.
I hear you. Yes, it was a very good movie. So thank you for the recommendation. So, all right. Well, here you go. Astronomers have detected a peculiar radio signal originating from deep space that evades current scientific understanding. It's designated ASKAP J1935 plus 2148, and I memorized that. The signal is repeating every 53.8 minutes, making it the longest period ever recorded for such a phenomena. The signal was first detected during a routine observation by the ASKAP radio telescope located in Australia. The telescope, known for its wide field of view, was monitoring a gamma ray burst when it stumbled upon this star. I'm not reading all that again. The signal stood out due to its unique properties, including its long period and distinct emission states. Dr. Manisha Caleb, an astrophysicist at the University of Sydney and the lead author of the study, said in a press release that she thinks that this could be a new kind of neutron star. Said it's highly unusual to discover a neutron star candidate emitting radio pulsations in this way, but the fact that the signal is repeating at such a leisurely pace is extraordinary. So,
yeah. I mean, that could be, because we talked about Dyson Spears a little bit last week.
Mm-hmm.
That could be what that is too. I mean, it's untelling what's out there,
right.
If all that's real,
Yeah, stumbled upon, Landa. Well, my thing is, okay, so, all right, it's probably a neutron star. Why not? Why couldn't it be somebody trying to get in touch?
I don't know. Why couldn't it be?
That's right. I think that they're jumping to the most logical conclusion that doesn't have any controversy surrounding it.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see where they end up going with it. If it's a permanent thing that will just keep going on and on, or if it'll eventually stop.
Yeah. So, we'll never know. We'll never.
Sure, we will. All right.
So, did you know that the age of 65 is a crazy age to retire from, according to BlackRock CEO?
The fact that it's somebody that has more money than God thinks that. I've got a few choice words, but I'm going to keep them to myself. Really?
Well, with Americans living longer and spending more years in retirement, the nation's changing demographics are putting U.S. retirement systems under immense strain, according to BlackRock CEO Larry Fink in his annual shareholder letter. One way to fix it, he suggests, is for Americans to consider working longer before they head into retirement. Don't worry about that, buddy. No one should have to work longer than they want to, but I do think it's a bit crazy that our anchor ideal for the right retirement age is 65 years old, he says. And that originates from the time of the Ottoman Empire, Fink wrote in his 2024 letter. So, I mean, he's worth $1.2 billion.
Mhm.
There
Him
wa-
alone, that's his personal wealth.
yeah, and it's probably more than that.
Oh,
There
I
was, yeah, there wasn't too many 65-year-olds in the early 50s that didn't really get a chance to actually retire because they died.
see, yeah, that was where I was going with that, because like in the middle, he says this was what, the 18, how long ago was it? The Ottoman Empire.
Yeah, it lasted
But
forever.
okay, so just for the record, in the Middle Ages, middle age for men was like 26 years old.
Yeah.
You know, so I call bullshit on the whole, oh, it's been around since the Ottoman Empire. But you're right. In the early parts of the century, people died way before 65, the average, working person, because they worked their butts off from way before sunup until way after sundown, and they had to do that just to make the barest of ends meet.
Yeah.
Somebody worth 1.2 billion will never understand the struggle that the rest of us go through.
I mean, he doesn't have to worry about me retiring at 65. Either
No.
I'm going to live that long or I'm going to work until I'm not living anymore. My retirement is when they're going to be putting me in the ground.
Yeah.
That's just plain and simple.
Yeah.
And I look forward to it.
Right.
That's the funniest thing about it. Like, they've got us in a situation to where we have to. Like,
Yeah.
we don't have an option.
Well, tell them if they quit borrowing against all of our money, and spend some of theirs on their projects, it would be self-sustaining. But no, that would be too easy. Yeah. So, okay, here you go. You should do this one.
Which one is it?
It's the physicists capture the elusive 4D ghost in the CERN particle accelerator.
Oh, yeah. 4D. Let's see. The ghost. There it is. So there's a specter hanging. That's a haunting. It's haunting. I'm going to say it the country way. Okay. There's a specter haunting the tunnels of the particle accelerator of CERN. In the synchrotron, physicists have finally measured and quantified an invisible structure that can divert the course of the particles therein and create problems for particle research. It's described as taking place in phase space. But they're just making up new space. Like, I don't know.
It's probably a CERN thing.
I'm not a scientist or nothing. Which can represent one or more states of a moving system. Since 4 states are required to represent the structure, the researchers view it as 4-dimensional, which we can only see in the 3-dimensional. So this structure is the result of a phenomenon known as resonance, and being able to quantify and measure it takes us a step closer to solving a problem universal to the magnetic particle accelerators. With these resonance, what happens is the particles don't follow exactly the path we want them to. They fly away and get lost, says physicist Giuliano Fanchetti of the GSI in Germany. They cause beams degrade. You wanted me to read this because of
this causes beam degradation and makes it difficult to reach the required beam parameters.
So
they've got a poltergeist.
Well, there was a little kid. I think he's no longer with us. He was explaining how parallel universes will work.
The little blonde-headed boy?
Yeah.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
And it's possible that, we're living simultaneously with different universes now, because a 2-dimensional character can't see in 3 dimensions. A 3-dimensional character cannot see in 4 dimensions. So it's telling you what's around us that we can't see that can see us, because we can see 2-dimensional. And so 4-dimensional would see 3 and 5 and so on.
Right.
I don't know. That's kind of weird that they've actually think they have found a 4-dimensional particle and they can measure it. That's strange. That's
right. Yeah. Well, I read something here not too long ago, and I thought it was very interesting the way that it was worded. But it's basically, when you're dreaming, your brain cannot make up people that you have not physically ever seen in life.
True.
So is it the aliens interfering in your headspace, or are you going to other dimensions? And I mean, where do these strange beings that you've never seen before come from?
I don't know. That is a weird one. My favorite story about that, because that's what they've always said. You don't see a face in a dream that you haven't seen while you're awake.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen that thing talking about the face that everybody sees in a dream? It's like a balding man with a weird grin.
Mm-hmm.
We need to cover that sometime.
Yeah, we do. That's what it is. Paranormal experts say that the unfamiliar faces you see in your dreams are the faces of the ghosts that are watching you while you sleep.
Sweet.
Yeah. So that made me think of that when you said that, there's no telling what's around us. Because you're right. I mean, there could be somebody sitting right there,
mm-hmm.
Going, ha, 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 look at her. So
I hope they don't watch all the time.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to go there.
But
on another, I guess it's about time for us to wrap up.
Yeah, we're going to have to wrap it up. We're at 46 minutes. So in 14 minutes from this very moment, tune over to Weird Realities Network with a Y. This is on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. Is it back on Twitter yet?
I don't know, but let's go with YouTube or Facebook just to be on the safe side.
Yep. Come on over and check it out. We're going to be covering mind control tonight.
Yes.
Mind control projects. I missed a go on that. but luckily enough, we've talked about enough. I can probably skim my way through it.
I think we can wing it.
Yeah. And tune into Weird Realities Network's other shows as well. Watching Weird every Thursday night at like 10 Eastern.
Yeah.
We got
Blondes on every other Tuesday, and once a month, the Wild Women have a Sunday show where they talk about true crime or crew crime, depending on who you're talking about. And they're working on several other ones. Every Sunday this month, they have a hypnosis show that they're doing, which is really good. I mean, it's got, this is not a good night for my brain.
That's never a good night for mine.
Some days are better than others, but anyway, on Sundays through the month of July. So that's about everything.
Yep. So
our mind controlling unit.
So thank you all for watching us, because we are watching you.